No contract, no coffee. That's the message from the Starbucks baristas on Mass Ave. I'm Emily Longnecker. Coming up, we'll tell you what they're asking the company for.
It was just one big happy community. It's gone.
Town and Terrace demolished, the hope for this troubled area's future.
And more warm temperatures in the forecast. The 80s will linger through the weekend, but there are some big changes on the way with more clear skies.
We loved on each other. I mean, I'm like, look, we went through some real human emotion throughout the course of the year.
Yes, they did. We all did. The Fever wrapping a remarkable season. We take a look back at what they overcame to get so close to the WNBA Finals. Live from Indy, you're watching 13 News.
Tonight, Starbucks baristas are preparing for a potential strike.
They're joining baristas across the country calling for a fair contract. Thanks for joining us tonight at 5. I'm Felicia Lawrence.
I'm Dustin Grove in for Anne Marie. Our Emily Longnecker was at a rally today with the people who make those lattes every morning.
She joins us now with what they're asking for tonight.
Yeah, I'm here outside the Mass Ave Starbucks location near downtown Indianapolis. This is the only Starbucks location in the city that's unionized. And today, the baristas who work here held what they call a practice picket over what they say have been contract negotiations with a company who they say does not listen to their needs or their wants.
No coffee! And what these baristas say they want are better working conditions. For them, that means better pay, better hours, and more staffing.
We are just given more and more and more responsibility, but with no flexibility in scheduling, no extra staffing. We aren't receiving enough to be able to make these happen and to give the proper customer experience that Starbucks had originally intended.
Customer Erica Murdoch hasn't noticed a problem with service when she visits.
They do good in here. They're all sweet.
But she does notice the long lines every morning and watch the picket Thursday afternoon, hearing workers chants about striking.
This Starbucks, this one, the one I'm always at, no. I might have to join the strike too. Not go to any other Starbucks until they figure it out.
A spokesperson for Starbucks told 13 News actions like the ones today have created more delays in reaching a mutual agreement for single-store contracts. The spokesperson said Starbucks is ready to finalize a fair contract, but needs union members back at the table to get that done.
We just really want a fair contract, and we are not afraid to take action in order to receive that.
A debate over what fair looks like is the problem.
And according to Workers United, the union that represents these Starbucks baristas, more locations in the city are considering unionizing, including the Starbucks location on Capitol Avenue. So when could this practice picket turn into the real thing? Well, the holidays are fast approaching, something many of these baristas have mentioned today and talked about, and they have said if they don't get a contract that they like, they're not afraid to say no coffee, at least not at this location. On Mass Ave, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
And this all comes at a time when Starbucks has announced layoffs and store closures across the country, including 2 stores in Indiana. One is in Greenfield and another along U.S. Highway 41 in Cherryville.
Tonight, you'll be able to ask questions about a proposed data center in Morgan County. You can do that by submitting your questions or your comments at the roundtable discussion. It's happening at 6:30 this evening at the Monrovia Festival Building. Earlier this week, you may remember the Morgan County Plan Commission voted to recommend a rezone of an additional 158 acres for that data center. That's on top of the 390 acres already approved for rezoning near State Road 42 in Antioch. During tonight's roundtable discussion, the group will try to answer any questions, which you can write down for them as you enter the building.
All right, now to an update on a story we've been following for years. Today, the city finished tearing down Town and Terrace, a longtime site of crime and dilapidation on the Far East Side.
Our Jenna Webster explains one former resident's hope for that area's future.
An excavator seals its fate, taking the last bite of the old Town and Terrace apartments.
It's the end of an era. done.
Liz Durden called it home for more than 30 years.
I used to want to live here. I used to come by and say, oh, I want to live over there.
Where we see dirt and debris, Durden sees birthdays, barbecues, memories with neighbors.
I had a garden over there at the first property on the south side of the creek, and I used to give all the vegetables to the people in the community, and it was paradise, but it slowly turned into a mess.
Years of neglect made it a hot spot for illegal activity. In 2020, police responded to the complex 400 times.
Then upstairs was the 3 bedrooms.
Durden's paradise became a site of disrepair.
There's no going back. It's over, so just accept it. And it was really hard for me at first. I cried a lot. I really cried a lot.
Demolition began 2 years ago. The last few apartments now coming down.
The blink of an eye, there it goes.
Paving the way for something new.
I'm very hopeful. That's the big word for me because, you know, the Far East Side, 42nd and Post Road has a bad name, right?
Councilor Renee Allen, who represents the district, says it's up to the community to decide what's next. This plus the torn down Oak Tree complex leaves 38 acres of possibility.
For me, I would love to see a little bit of economic development, businesses, community space, libraries, whatever that looks like.
It would be nice if they had units, apartments at the top and shops at the bottom.
A vibrant community for families.
It's a lot of things that can be done with this.
Like the one she remembers.
You have to have people willing to do it.
In Indianapolis, Jenna Webster, 13 News.
Now, as part of the demolition process, the city helped people living in 120 households find new places to live.
Tonight, one person is in critical condition after a shooting near the southeast side of Indy.
That's right, and it happened a little less than 2 hours ago near the intersection of Wagner Lane and East Raymond Street. Metro Police detained one person at the scene, but have not provided any other information about whether they are a suspect.
Also tonight, the Johnson County coroner is identifying a Chicago man killed in a fiery crash following a police chase. 30-year-old Marco Pena Morales died in the crash around 9:30 on I-65 near the 92-mile marker, as you can see on that map there. That's between the Franklin and Whiteland exits. It all started around 9 near East 21st Street and North Emerson in Indy. That's where Metro Police homicide detectives say one of them said he saw a known aggravated assault suspect driving a truck. So officers chased that truck, tried to do what's called a pit maneuver in Johnson County, but the pit maneuver didn't work. The suspect kept driving before going off the road and into the air, landing in the ditch where it caught fire.
Well, let's get an update of your forecast, which includes much more of the same, but we're starting to see, at least off in the distance, that change in the pattern that we've been advertising. 82 is where we sit currently. We're starting to see the temperatures ease down a bit with clear skies, just some high, thin clouds that are rolling through. Don't expect any change in the forecast in the short term. So what you had yesterday is pretty much what you're going to have for the rest of this evening. Overall, mostly clear conditions. Those high, thin clouds will stay with us. Temperatures will ease out of those 80s. Be very comfortable for this evening if you have evening plans, back through the 60s during the overnight, and then likely ending up into the upper 50s by early morning with those clear skies. Tomorrow, much more of the same, but you've only got a few more days that look like this before we start to add some rain back into the forecast and some cooler temperatures. I'll have details on that for you coming up in just a few minutes.